Espresso, coffee in a shot glass. Deeply intense, dark, aromatic. Is there anything more Italian? Well, perhaps there is. That's Ferrari's new Roma. It's GT. And it wants to balance intensity with relaxed driving pleasure. To begin with, it looks quite different from what most modern day Ferraris look like. The profile is sharp, clean and confident. It feels like it's been designed with bold strokes. The shark nose and bulging bonnet live together happily. The roof looks impossibly tight, and then the new slot-like tail lights work superbly too. I'm not a big fan of this body-colored version of Ferrari's traditional cheese grater grille, but what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Under the stunning skin, the Roma's all-aluminum chassis and body in white share a fair bit with the Portofino. Interestingly, the two wheelbases are almost identical. The Roma, however, has a more planted stance. The roof height is lower, as is the center of gravity, and it's also nearly 100 kilos lighter. So what's it like? I think I've had enough coffee now. Let's go for a drive. Now first up, is it as easygoing and as comfortable as Ferrari say it is? And then let's examine just how much mad Ferrari DNA they've poured into it when you go flat out. Now with the Manettino set in comfort, this car is surprisingly comfortable. It's riding over the expansion joints in this road beautifully. There isn't too much up and down movement, and even over some bad patches, you really do feel pretty comfortable. And ground clearance is sufficient. It even clambered over some filled-in humps in the road with surprising ease. You do have to slow down for large potholes, and some bad patches unsettle it. But what Ferrari has done, again, is use some pretty nifty suspension technology to outwit physics. And that's impressive. Also surprisingly light and comfortable is the steering, and that's what really strikes you at first. It's just how easy it is to drive. The engine is very tractable and responsive, and because the pedals are nicely weighted, the car puts you at ease. Yes, so job done. The Roma is a friendly everyday Ferrari, but it also has an edge and a race mode, something the Portofino doesn't get. And then when you put it in race, this happens. Woo. It turns into a Ferrari, a fire-breathing monster again. It just has this dual character where it's very relaxing on the one hand and crazy fast on the other. Brilliant. What Ferrari has done over the years is to improve the twin-turbo V8. This one gets 620 horses and is extremely responsive from the time you tap the throttle. And Ferrari has now improved the top end as well. Performance is extremely strong. It will do 0 to 100 in a claimed 3.4 seconds. Now, while the engine is common between many of Ferrari's cars, this one has its own sound. It's got a nice grumble lowdown, like that. It's got a rumble, it's raspy and angry. And then when you put your foot down, it sort of whoops in delight. If only the idle were a bit smoother and a bit more silent. You just can't, however, compare it with the blare of a naturally aspirated Ferrari engine. But in isolation, this is pretty good. And it will plant a big smile on your face around corners as well. The steering is a bit light, and it doesn't quite have that limpid grip of the F8. But oh boy, can it deliver the smiles. It's moving around, it's agile, it's a riot. It clearly isn't a mid-engine supercar, But then it's a lot more agile and fun around corners than something like the Portofino. Wow, that was intense. I think I need another espresso. Where the Roma also differs from other Ferraris is on the inside. Ferrari has gone digital and there's a whole set of new bits here. Now the Roma gets Ferrari's all-new interior. There's a touchscreen, the instrument panel is one big screen, and you get this new steering wheel. Now it's pretty radical. There's no starter button, there's just engine start written here, and you got to just hit that and start the engine up. You get all these shortcuts at the back. There's the flasher for the headlight. Of course, the turn indicators are here. That's the new Manettino, and this one toggles the views on the instrument panel. There are a couple of more sporty views, but I just like this big tachometer bang in the center. This cabin also has been clearly divided into two binnacles, one for the passenger, one for the driver, and here it's demarcated with this lovely yellow line that runs across. You also get a screen for your passenger and this beautifully done in chrome Roma badge. Other interesting features on the Roma include this button which opens the door. There's no latch to pull. When you adjust the mirrors, again there are no physical buttons. But the most interesting feature is this manual gearbox gate-like selector. Now you go to reverse from here, you go to auto or manual, and along with all these new features, this makes for an interesting cabin. It's a thoughtfully put together cabin too, apart from the fact that you can only adjust the fan speed from the screen. And that's always a pain, especially on the move. And as ever, a great driving position with these supportive seats that are beautifully built in the finest leather and just feel the right combination of sporty and comfortable. The rear seats, if you can call them that, are however far from practical. But the boot will hold a couple of cabin bags, and that's probably all you'll need. It, however, has no spare, and that on a GT is probably a bit of a miss. On the one hand, the Roma is clearly Ferrari's most practical and usable car. It rides well, it's easy to drive, and use good judgment, and it even has sufficient ground clearance for our roads and conditions. It's also a proper Ferrari when you flip the switch and mash down the throttle. Seriously quick in a straight line, very engaging to drive fast in corners. It also comes with a full suite of Ferrari driver aids. Extremely attractive, beautifully built, and at rupees 3.76 crore, the least expensive Ferrari you can buy. It's the one that ticks all the right boxes and then some. It won't quite make you feel like a driving god like the F8 can, and it will be more expensive once you spec it up. But if you're looking for a Ferrari that you'll want to drive almost every day and take everywhere, well, this is it.